That's the
And
plans.
repeat.
Check, check, check.
So
All right, it is 6 o'clock for our regular, I'd like to call to order our regular meeting of the Lake Worth CRA for Tuesday, August 11th. Emily, roll call, please.
Mr. Richard Mahler.
Here.
Miss Donna Kerner.
Here.
Mr. Drew Bartlett.
Here.
Mr. John Zerdy.
Here.
Mr. Harry Wolin.
Here.
Miss Leah Furch.
Here.
Please note Miss Carla Bloxon is not present.
All right, and can we all stand for the pledge, please? All right, is there any public comment on non-agenda items at this? Oh, I'm sorry. Any additions, deletions, reordering? Seeing none, any public comment on non-agenda items? Yes, ma'am. Please come to the podium, give your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Ramsey McLeod, 24 South C Street, and I am here to thank you all from the bottom of my old heart for putting the funds forward for South D Street to get paved, striped, new curbing. I cannot thank you enough. When they came through in 2018 and did all the road work, they hit C Street, they didn't hit D, and I was like, Jamie, you're kidding, right? Do you know how bad it is over there? I'm a frequent caller on the potholes. So when it came up, you guys were doing it. You tickled the old heart here. And I just wanted to come as a resident in the area to thank you so much. I drove down it Saturday. They're almost completely done with it. And it is just a blessing. It really brightens up the neighborhood and shows another example of the West Side is of some importance to the city. So I greatly appreciate your efforts. And we wouldn't mind if the money keeps coming. I'm just saying. Thank you so much. You'll have a good evening.
Very pleased to hear that. Thank you. Any other public comment on non-agenda items? All right. In that case, we'll move into our presentation agenda. Mr. Snitkin from Anderson and Carr. Or Joan?
Oh, yeah, I'll just do a brief introduction. Paul Snitkin and Zach Rossetti are here from Anderson and Carr. We've been, as I'm sure you have too, been hearing a lot about the downtown and the number of vacancies that we have there. And although the CRA is not a broker, we do have a broker we've been working with for many, many years, helping us on all of our affordable housing purchases. Talked to Paul just a few weeks ago, and it turns out that they've actually helped another city with something very similar. So I wanted him to come here today, give you a little bit information about that. And then if there's consensus, we can maybe do an amendment to their contract. So Paul, Zach.
Check 1, 2. My name is Paul Snitkin with Anderson and Carr. I'm the president. We've been involved, as Joan said, with the city of Lake Worth for Lake Worth Beach for many, many years. We're huge fans, and we love our job. We have worked in a similar situation with helping other cities and attracting new tenants to a downtown area, one of them being the town of Lake Park, and also the city of West Palm Beach, DDA. We did work with them as well. And look what happened. So I don't want to take all the credit, but it was probably had nothing to do with me, but we still helped out in the days when there was lots of vacancies on Clematis Street and in City Place. And that has all changed, but I think Related had a lot more to do with that than I did. In Lake Park, we did the same thing on Park Avenue, where they had a lot of vacancies there as well, and we came in and talked with the staff and gave them ideas on how to attract tenants, and to give them grants and so forth to get the type of tenants that they want. So basically, Zach, we have like a little presentation. I'll let Zach take it over from here, and I'll be available later for questions from everybody as well. Okay, so Zach Rossetti.
Thanks, Paul. As Paul mentioned, I'm Zach Rossetti with Anderson and Carr. Just the button. Big button there. Perfect. All right. We got a quick little presentation for y'all. Cover some of the challenges and some different programs, grants, that sort of thing that we think could be a good starting point. So first things first is what is the challenge? You have a landlord's reality, which the owners, they're looking for a creditworthy tenant. It's going to pay stable rent, and they're not going to have to worry about vacancies and turnover and that sort of thing. The tenant's reality is they're looking for a space with low barriers to entry. One of the main issues is high upfront costs, the permitting, marketing, that sort of thing. We believe that the CRA's opportunity here is to kind of bridge that gap between the two, to help the landlord a little, help the tenant a little, and act as kind of a liaison to facilitate future growth in the downtown. And as it says there, the strategy should not be to pay rent for the tenants. So you gotta be creative and figure out ways to make it work for everybody. In this. There we go. All right. This I won't spend much time on it because you already know this. These are the current programs being offered by the CRA. You get your interior improvement grant, commercial facade grant, signage grant, and the public infrastructure grant. It appears that those are pretty successful. I believe the applications come in right away in October, and they get filled pretty quickly, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a very good starting point here. Next, just discuss quickly about a few different incentives. Here we've got a couple suggestions for different landlord incentives. We have a TI matching grant that we've seen used in the past. This is very similar to the current interior improvement grant, except maybe this could include, maybe HVAC upgrades or, things that aren't necessarily included in that interior upgrade grant. We have, just for illustration purposes in there, it could be a matching grant up to $50,000, something to work out there. This incentivizes landlords because it reduces their capital expenses, all while increasing the value of their assets. Next, we have a lease up vacancy grant. This could be like a one-time grant for qualifying leases for spaces that have been vacant for a long time. Something I was kind of thinking is, a lot of these vacancies, the owners aren't proactive about marketing these spaces. They're just sitting empty. Something that could fall under this category would be like a leasing commission assistance, where the CRA maybe, hey, as an incentive to hire a broker who's active in the area, we'll help you out with their fee a little bit. Again, that's landlord incentive. There's just gives them a financial reason to close the deal and get the space occupied. Lastly, we have code safety and facade fund. This could be for things like fire sprinklers or different upgrades to, ADA bathrooms. A lot of these buildings are older and some of the bathrooms aren't ADA compliant. So I think the CRA could help out with, bringing these up to code. And again, landlord benefits because now their property is up to code and they don't have the financial burden of doing that. Let's get this next one. All right. A couple of tenant incentives that we've come up with are impact fee and permitting support. This would be either you waive or allocate a portion of money towards the different municipal fees, and accelerate the entire review process. An example could be like maybe the CRA pays that initial fee for the business license for a tenant. We also have a opening/relocation grant that could be for, illustrative amount here, $5,000 to $10,000. Once they receive their certificate of occupancy, they can be reimbursed for some of their moving expenses, signage, and different programs that help launch their business. Obviously, that would be after they're already received their CO. Another idea we have is the first 100 days utility credit. The CRA could subsidize up to 50% of their electric or water costs during the first 100 days of operations. So either from the CO or when they actually open for business. We think this would help City of Lake Worth utilities tend to have higher rates with electric and water. which is, although minor, could be a factor in, if somebody wants to go to Boynton or West Palm instead. Lastly, we have a co-op digital marketing match, and you would match qualified tenants for their marketing campaigns during the first their first quarter of operations. All of these are for illustrative purposes, obviously, but just different ideas to run by. A couple of items we want to discuss as well are permitting, zoning, and business concierge. So the business concierge, that would be like a liaison to help new tenants, new businesses go through the process of getting their zoning approvals, their business license, their certificate of occupancy. It can be a little bit overwhelming, especially for new startup businesses and that sort of thing. Fast track review. A lot of complaints that I've heard is from both landlords and tenants is, hey, we want to move our business here, but it might take up to 3 months for us to get the approval. Well, the landlord doesn't want to sign a lease without having a firm tenant in place, and the tenant doesn't want to pay rent for 3 months without knowing that they'll be able to operate there. So a fast track review would help bridge that gap as well. And then pre-approval paths, excuse me. This is basically like a checklist. When someone comes in, you could say, I'm opening up a restaurant. Here's all the things that you need to make sure are in place to make sure, you're up to date on the codes and that sort of thing. Just help with the transition a little bit. Different things for the public realm that would help drive in new business to downtown. Walkability and safety. This is, signage, lighting, sidewalk quality, safety crossings, that sort of thing. The walkability of downtown, we have the potential there with the large sidewalks and that sort of thing that a lot of tenants really want. They want the foot traffic, and this could be something that, to ensure that this aspect is taken care of. Placemaking events. CRA does a really good job right now. The city does as well with the street painting festival, Day of the Dead, different block parties. Some other suggestions we could put in there is, maybe something like a food tour. I know they do a lot of those in downtown West Palm Beach to promote the different restaurants, or something like what they do in Del Rey with the Taste of the Town. And then lastly, cleanliness and care, just making sure if there's any deferred maintenance to the public areas that's taken care of quickly and professionally, keeping the landscaping, the trees, sidewalks and parks all clean and tidy. That's always going to drive more traffic to the downtown. And here we have the recommended next steps. First, you need to build the vacancy baseline. You just need to see the inventory, how long they've been vacant, what rents are, the conditions of these spaces, and what the current landlord's doing to fill these vacancies. Next, we want to interview the market. What are the main barriers? We want to talk to different brokers that are active in the area, landlords and prospective tenants, and see what it is that they're seeing could be deterring new business to the downtown area. Once we establish that, we can look at what these recurring barriers to entry are and implement a program that addresses those barriers. That's number 3 there. We can go with the programs or the grants that we've outlined previously that might help bridge that gap. Next would be setting up program rules and a budget. This is more in-house. Make sure you have the proper the budget, what's realistic, what's obtainable, what can the CRA actually do to help out. Then launch a recruitment sprint. These are tours, broker outreach. Something else I was thinking is maybe like a networking type event where monthly, quarterly, something like that. There's an event that is, what's happening in downtown Lake Worth. You can talk about the new developments, new businesses that have come into town, and what future plans are. And lastly is to measure and track everything. So you can keep records of the new leases, new openings, and that sort of thing. And that way we can identify what programs or grants have been most successful and go from there. So that concludes the presentation. Happy to answer any questions that y'all may have.
So you hand me the gavel and I forget how we do things. This is a presentation item, but you mentioned getting consensus for extending the agreement.
It would be very helpful to staff. I know you don't usually do this, but if you guys would discuss, maybe ask some questions, and then it kind of gives us a little bit more to work with when we're sitting down with Anderson and Carr and staff and trying to work out the scope of services, if that's
Okay,
what you guys want.
shall we discuss? Questions? Who wants to start?
Like it. All of it. Why do we need you?
Good.
Well, that's a
I
good-
mean, yeah, what do you bring to the table?
Well, we bring Anderson and Carr. We just started in this business about 100 years ago, and we know what works in cities. Our office is in downtown West Palm. We've seen the rise and fall quite a few times there. We know what works. A few things that Zach did mention that would bring more viability downtown is you need somebody to spearhead this effort to get the people and the brokers and the community down here to see what Lake Worth has to offer, which is a lot. I was just down here about a week ago and at the Bamboo Room at night, and I haven't been down at night to Lake Worth in a long time, and I was blown away by how many people were downtown. It was very surprising, and we had a great time, and we're going to do it again. So our company just wants to bring more people to enjoy what we already know. And the only way to do that is to have some sort of outreach. And you need to start with a spearhead, somebody to get that program into play. As Zach mentioned, doing tours downtown with like brokers, we'll get involved with the Realtors Commercial Alliance of Palm Beach County. We'll set up quarterly events that will get some trolleys to do some circles, show some new businesses that are here, show the vacant space that's available, and show them the vibrancy that's here. That people are so concentrated now in Delray and West Palm that Lake Worth is kind of a sleeping little town right now. And it's always been, but it needs more people to enjoy this because it's a great vibe. It's people just relaxing, having a good time. It's not hustle and bustle like West Palm or overcrowded like Delray. It's right in the middle, and that's where we want to bring the attention to. So, and we want to be the people to help bring that gap together for you guys. You're welcome.
We'll just keep going to the lunch. How about that? All right. Hey, thanks for coming tonight.
Sure.
I think in terms of what we do see, a lot of vacancies. I don't know what the initiatives are going on with those who have the vacancies, the landlords. How do you motivate landlords to come to some of these realizations? I mean, we could do incentives. We do it all the time here to help them. We just had a nice one that's actually happening there on Lake right now. But I just don't know if you talk to some of these landlords yourselves to find out what's the problem of even getting rent. Are they asking too much? Have you talked to some of the previous? I know plenty of them that just left. We're here, they're gone. Problems with keeping the building up to air conditioning problems, maintenance problems over their rent that changes. It's a two-way street, obviously, but have you talked to some of these landlords at all already just to see from their point of view? Or how would you go about? Would you send out maybe a questionnaire to a lot of other real estate agents? And how does that work when you are in the business and other agents are to have a coalition that you all could work together? It's competition between you all too, but at the same time, what's really creating it's stagnant in that sense. It's only gotten worse here recently too.
Yeah. Well, our incentive is to attract new tenants here. And in order to do that, we need to educate them that what's available to them from the CRA with these different grants. As far as the landlords, we just started rolling here, but yeah, we will reach out to landlords, and especially if they're represented by brokers. We're not here to step on any other brokers' toes. We're here to bring the awareness to new tenants, to attract new tenants to see the viability of this town. Landlords will come around. They always do. Sometimes it just takes a little pain. If you have a vacant space for a long time, eventually when that real estate tax comes due, you understand that you need to fill that space. So by educating the community and the tenants that are coming here to know what incentives are available for them, this could kind of bridge the gap between them and maybe the landlord, where they might have, their funds to come in for their build out and all this. The incentives might be that tipping scale for them. So, and we will work with any landlord and any broker and tenant to help them bridge that gap if we have to. We're always available.
I noticed on one of your ideas there about expediting or helping them through the regulatory processes here in town, which doesn't have the best reputation. Some of it has to do with just educating, like you were pointing out. I mean, an architect and contractor myself, but I don't have a lot of problems going through the city, but we're well versed in how it works and everything else. So that's part of the issue. But that still takes a level of services that even if you would put it out there in writing or what have you, it's different than getting introductions to some of the staff. And right now the building department and planning department's all mixed up with their own spaces that they're trying to move into.
Yeah.
But in terms of really talking with the landlords, I just hear things that really don't know what they're looking for. There's plenty of people that do come downtown, like you're saying, but they do see the vacancies. If they're like, hey, that would be a great place, there's numbers on there, it stays vacant. I think the interest would be there because on both sides of us, from the north and the south, it's a great little spot. Just don't know what gets us off center. I'm still thinking there's some there's not enough knowledge of what are the landlords looking for that would move them. The money that staff or CRA does a great job sorting us out and getting grants, and we listen to people that really need it. And there's quite a bit of money that's allocated. You'll see in our budget. If you look at the budget, there's a lot of money that's there to help incentivize, but it just still seems like you just can't get past that point.
Right. Well, once again, I fall back on the education side. We need to, as far as for example, I walked all the way down Lake today and all the way back up Lucerne. I noted every vacant spot, took down the phone numbers if there were some, and some were just addresses with dark spaces. One thing that was a common denominator among all of them is empty windows, just bare windows, looking in, seeing, furniture scattered here and there, dirty spaces, etc. One thing that they did in Lake Park as well in West Palm is put some veneers on the windows. And on those windows would have, we can include the landlord's name and number or the broker's name and number, CRA, what type of incentives are available, QR codes to click on that. That way, the way business moves so fast, you can walk by and just grab that CR code and boom, you're right to the CRA website. Things like that could help a potential tenant. On your other question with liaison with the city and going through zoning and all that's involved, it's very scary. If you don't know where to go, it could be very scary for somebody. And that maybe we can work with the CRA and the city to find maybe there's a department or City of West Palm has like a planner on call, stuff like that we can give phone numbers that these people can come in there with their notebooks and here's my business, here's my address. I don't know where to start on what I need to do. And maybe they can talk to somebody and have them lay out the plan with them or guide them what direction they need to go first. Do I need to get an architect first? Do I need to get a general contractor? They have no idea. So it's just one of the ideas we had, which would just make that process a little smoother because a lot of times when certain tenants are so focused on their job and their business that they have no understanding with the city, the avenues for the city for permits and all the other things they need to do. So this could really help them to understand and get to their dream of having their space here. So,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
So yeah, I like all the ideas. I've always talked to Joan about the concierge idea and how, someone that could just guide them through the process, and because that always becomes a hiccup for those that aren't experienced. It's a constant, right? And we face it all the time. So I like that idea. But what I don't know is your service telling us what are good ideas, or is your service implementing the ideas, or how does that work?
Probably, that's a good question. Probably both. We haven't figured that part out as far as where our job would be and even how we would get paid.
Do you have those services like implementing the ideas?
Yeah, we
Okay.
we have a direct avenue with the Commercial Alliance of Palm Beach County, which would bring the broker community attention here that we could put together. We just did one for the CCIM in downtown West Palm. We did a trolley tour and I narrated one of the trolleys, and we drive through,
Gotcha.
we show the new projects that are coming in town, the future projects, vacant space that's available. We stop at a couple restaurants for little snacks and drinks, and then we do it usually during the day. It's business hours, and it's a huge success every time we go. And we get sponsors, like local sponsors that want to have to stop at their place or things like that. So we'll do the legwork and putting that together. But yeah, we haven't figured out how
Yeah.
our actual job
No,
description
that's
would
what
be.
that's the next step.
And yeah, we're just here to kind of give you ideas of,
Right.
if you use us, what we can do to help. If not, either the ideas are on the
Right.
house.
No, I get that. So, the other thing, so the land, we kind of know the barriers, we've having lived here and interacted with all of them, we kind of know what those barriers are. So the solutions are beyond your capabilities in some of those. So you'll kind of tee up the obvious in some circumstances. One of the, so the relationship with the landlord is very critical. It's very important in Lake Worth Beach. So you've developed relationships with landlords in other areas. Do you have any relationship with the Peters?
We've done deals with them, but yeah, we're
Okay.
they're available via phone that we can talk to
Alright.
them. Sure,
Because that's as you saw walking up and down, that's a
Yeah.
major landlord
of course.
for here. So that
Yeah.
would be a relationship that would be important.
Yeah, if we can assist them in any way to get that space leased, that's our job. So yeah, whatever it takes.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks a lot. Some of my other colleagues have raised some of the same points, but I just wanted to ask, like using Lake Park as an illustration, could you give us like just an idea of like your success story? Because it is a similar kind of funky, sleepy, but also really creative space.
Right.
And some of the businesses that have just opened there, I think, are kind of reflect.
Well, this was probably
But what have you done to kind of
this
put on the map?
This is about 15 years ago, so it was a long time ago. And they had on Lake Park up to not Dixie, but 10th, and yeah, there was a lot of vacant space there, and we helped them with the incentive program, getting the facades, not facades, but the veneer on the windows and contact. And back then they didn't have QR codes, but and it worked. And we went after cold calling certain types of businesses. We went to a lot of little small towns and came up with a common denominator, what typical businesses should be in this area. And we had a hit list, and we attracted most of those tenants from other areas that were successful that expanded into this area. And that's how, there was probably about 10 spaces vacant. And after we're done, there were maybe 2. And now it's full,
Just a quick follow-on question, like,
Sure.
so where were you attracting prospective or new tenants from? Where were they coming from in the AOR?
Like Las Olas, we pulled some up from Fort Lauderdale, down from Jupiter. We went to different markets that had successful types of businesses there and that would be needed in the area, such as little restaurants, sandwich shops, things like that. And they expanded there. Yeah. And now, Lake Park's huge. They got, the Nautilus there now and so forth. But it all starts when there's, it's a ghost town, and that's kind of what happened. And similar to West Palm. West Palm was, this is a long time ago with the DDA got us involved, and there was, I got quoted in the Palm Beach Post that I wanted to turn Clematis Street into like a mini Epcot where you could eat in a different country every night. And they probably had 15 or 20 vacancies there. And we did the same thing, went to separate markets, different markets, active markets, and brought different restaurateurs up here. I think we did about 10 different restaurant deals there. And we brought up, and we took a street that was literally nothing happening to, this is just when Clematis by Night started, the whole thing started. So it was, now times are different. Times are different. There's a lot more people here. There's a lot more things going on in different areas. And Lake Worth in general, there's very few vacancies compared to how many spaces there are. I think I walked up and down, I counted about 8 vacant spaces, but there's, 60 or 60 spaces there, right? Between Lucerne and Lake. So it's kind of a, not that bad of a vacancy, but there are, some key buildings that have vacancy. The old surf shop there at the corner. I don't know what's happening there, but that could be, if anything, a great advertising possibility for the CRA in the city of Lake Worth, that they could do something on that building that would, really help out the city, other than just a white blank canvas. And I'm sure the landlord would probably love to have some sort of facade thing to enhance his property. That's where you start. You're welcome.
Donna stole my question because I was going to ask about Lake Park, but so thank you for all of these. If you had to pick 2 to do right now out of all of those, based on your experience, what would those top 2 be?
The windows, some sort of window treatments, and the concierge with the city.
Okay.
Right? You still got a job. We're okay.
Okay. Well, I like what you've done so far. You've brought us some really nice opportunities. And I think coupled with the find your flavor, find it downtown, this would be a really nice time to kind of jump on initial or additional incentives to drive more vibrancy to downtown. When we first moved to town, I've harped on this before, there was like the evenings on the avenue and there was all kinds of stuff to do. And there were many more restaurants and more art galleries and things that you could do downtown. And I miss those days. I hope we can get them back. But I think we need some kind of initiative like this to do so. So with that, is this the time to seek consensus, or how do we move from here? Do we take public comment? Okay, and any members of the public who would like to comment on this? You're not quite public, but we'll take you.
I do live here and I'm in the CRA district. Kind of public. Sarah Maliga, your CRA liaison to the city of Lake Worth Beach, spent a very grueling long day up in those seats with budget today. So I just want to give you a little backstory. Thank you to Anderson and Carr for this presentation. However, with being part of the business advisory board, which now I'm the liaison for, and hearing the complaints of the residents and the business owners downtown, including a very large, robust, active real estate community, I think that now's the time for the CRA and the city to actively work together. I'm looking at these projects and we know we've had the window clings for years. decades almost. And I've been encouraging a said property owner, who I won't say his name, and I just sent him another message. Have you got with the CRA? Because he is adding to the blight. And I will just let you know that this same person just purchased a historical barber shop in my district. He did it under the guise of nobody in the district even knowing. He purchased it in his wife's name. And the only reason it came about to us is because the historical community of Osborne Community is trying to put a sign, "Welcome to Osborne Community," and he owns the adjacent property. So we needed them to sign off on paperwork. I had the privilege of calling him to ask him to sign off on this because he wouldn't, staff couldn't get anywhere. And that's how I found out that he actually owns land in his wife's name. And what he said to me was shocking. He said, "This is not on our 5 or 10-year plan." So what that tells me is he's just buying land everywhere and land banking in the city of Lake Worth Beach. And that is the real problem. We can sit here and talk about ideas and spending money, but until we actively work together on the vacant registry, on enforcement, and having the CRA work with us to beautify the community we already have downtown. And I had even brought forward the monies that you talked about last time being used into helping us power wash the alleyways. We want to be a walkable downtown. Help the people who are already here, like the Paws on the Avenue and the people who have already invested and been here, because the people like that, we are not going to change their behavior. The only thing we can do is work around their bad behavior and make it uncomfortable and costly for their bad behavior. When he told me it wasn't on their 10-year plan and nobody in the community even knew that this person who has no connection to this community is starting to buy land under the radar before it's even listed, that is mind-boggling, and it scares me, to be honest with you. So Kelly Smallridge gave a update a couple weeks ago from business development here. She told the city what we need to do, and we heard it loud and clear. Make it clean, make it walkable, make it safe. Everything else, and we are working on rolling out the Park Rangers program. We talked about it again today. We talked about possibly looking at doing a business development or what do we call those people? The ambassadors who walk around. And really having a visibility, because all these other things that we're talking about, we're not there yet, in my personal opinion, of somebody who's been sitting up there for 5.5 years banging my head against the wall. But the CRA can help us accomplish the things that we can control. And we do have a great liaison department and a concierge, if you will, through William Waters' department in sustainability. And we're trying to make that better. And we've hired and we put in more budget to hire more people and more planners. But I really don't want to see the CRA spend any more money. No disrespect to Anderson and Carr, that I don't think we're going to see the fruits of our labor. Right now, I think the things that we need to do is get a little more heavy-handed with the laws that are on the book and look at doing things like the ambassador program, beautifying the downtown, and really listening to the business owners that are here. Because it doesn't take anything for those business owners to extend their business or to refer us to somebody else, but they have to see us putting in the sweat equity. And I really I don't think that we need to go and reinvent the wheel right now. Maybe after WMOTA, maybe after the parking garage, and those things are happening. But right now, we need to go back to the basics. Make downtown safe and make it clean. And the rest will happen, in my opinion. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Erin Allen, and I am the chairperson of the Business Advisory Board. And I'm excited to hear the thought process behind this presentation. I don't know how you would, how do you measure the success of the program if it's implemented? I think that's important. I love the idea of introducing commercial brokers to the downtown area and these vacant parcels and showing them what we have. We've had great success with that in the past when we brought down a little bus with people and, introduced them to the town. So I think that could be something that we could do for sure. And ever since the inception of the Business Advisory Board, I have been telling Joan we need to have window clings and we need to have pretty windows, because as a realtor, I hear all the time from people who are buying just homes, not commercial people, buying homes. What is going on downtown? There are so many empty storefronts down there. It's concerning. And I have had a couple people who wanted to have businesses downtown who ultimately didn't follow through on that because of what's downtown looks like, right? Perception is reality. They ended up not moving forward with their projects. Anyhow, I think the prettiness, which kind of dovetails into what Sarah just said about being safe and clean downtown, we know that that's an issue. I don't know if any of you were ever here when Tom Remicchio was a mayor and he brought in the guardian angels because we had a horrible, okay, yeah, I was too. And we've always labored under this lack of safety perception outside of the city. We're not at the guardian angel stage anymore, thank goodness, but it is a hangover from that. It's like our utilities being high as well. A lot of that has changed, but it's a hangover from the old days, and we have to re-educate the public. And I think the only way that you can do the cleanliness is for people to come downtown and see that the downtown has just been pressure washed and it looks good and it's not scary to go from one of the satellite parking lots to a restaurant downtown and have dinner. So I like the concept behind this. Like Sarah said, I'm not sure if we have the funds to do that right now, and maybe things could be redirected a little bit. But on behalf of the business owners downtown, I think that it's important to obviously, fill these spaces and get downtown to be a really vibrant downtown where people can walk at night and not be afraid.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, so I guess I wasn't looking at this necessarily as an all or nothing, like we start at 100%. I think this seems like something we can layer in the programs, and that could be part of the agreement that we reach with you. We can decide what the phases are and how our budget allows. But I think what we run into is we all go to like the 4th of July and we talk amongst ourselves, this is a great town, isn't this a great town? But nobody outside this town is hearing that and seeing it. So I feel like we need to amplify that voice. And I think some of the ideas with bringing the broker tours, I think that's phenomenal. I say we got to start screaming about how great we are beyond our boundaries. So, okay, so what's next?
I just wanted to follow up on that a little bit. As far as the CRA can't do maintenance, right? Especially deferred maintenance. And so, we do pay for power washing, although quite frankly, it doesn't make much of a difference. It's just that dirty. And I think, cleaning the sidewalks, cleaning the alleys, putting better lighting in, that's a city job. Our job is to go out and try to fill these spaces from people who just really don't even give us a second thought right now because they're just not on the radar. And while we're doing the marketing, it would be fantastic to have somebody who can go and say, look, all these spaces are here. Here's the inventory. This is what they have. These are the brokers. This is how we can do a lease for you. We can help you with the city. All those things that, staff right now just doesn't have time to do. I think the time is now. I don't think we want to wait for Wamota. It's just my personal opinion, or a parking garage, because people downtown are hurting and we hear every single day about the vacancies. They're not going to go away by themselves. So what I would like to do is draw up a scope of services, working with Paul and our staff, and bring it back to you at the next board meeting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm good with that. I do think, it was occurring to me that, but I thought about, Wamota and the parking garage are game changers downtown, right? And they really set it up with Gulfstream getting in, all that kind of sets it up to flourish. So part of the campaign is get in before it's hard to get in, right? And so that was the only thought I would add to it, is like, we're about to, really experience some change in Lake Worth, and now's the time to get in before you can't, right? And it's very I love hearing the commission's discussion about enforcing code, enforcing things, getting, some of these vacancies, getting the landlords to care about their vacancy. I that's very important, and it's no surprise to me that they are on a 10-year plan and we're not part of it, right? So that's no surprise because that's how the behavior manifests itself. So helping change that plan is a great idea. So just wanted to put that out there.
I know you're probably sick of hearing this. I'm sure Commissioner Malega is too. I think that this plan, I like it a lot. It's a lot of carrots. It's a lot of carrots for tenants, and I understand we have no power over the sticks that go for these landlords. Really, one landlord. Yeah. No, I'm sure. Yes. No, I know. Yeah, 10 signs in one window though is pretty much one landlord. So, I do hope like if we were to move forward with a program like this, and I do echo part of Commissioner Malega's comments about working more closely together. I would love to see, because I know there was part of the conversation today about the vacant property registry of the budget. That was a very long meeting. I watched it. So I try. But I do think that as hopefully that ordinance does come back soon, and there are some more severe sticks that help enforce that not only in our neighborhoods but with our commercial properties as well, because they are land banking. They are sitting on these properties, they're jacking up the rents and keeping it artificially high for really no reason except to keep them empty, so they can carry over their losses for their other properties. So it's not it's not imaginary, it's there. So I do support a program like this. I would love to see where the scope is for it. But I do think I agree with you that I think we're almost there. And I know we've been saying that for a long time, but I actually believe it. And I think that something like this paired with a couple more sticks from the city would do measurably well.
And, I can just say I've been here 20 years and we keep thinking we're on the cusp and we never quite get there. So right now, I would like us to take everything we have and really just make the push. And it's important to do now because what I know the community really wants is more what we call mom and pop businesses, right? We want people, we want small business owners, we want locals, we want people you're going to trust, people who are going to be there a while. We don't want big name brands. We certainly don't want more vape shops, no offense to them, but they're everywhere. And so we're not going to be able to help pick and choose who we want unless we put our foot in it, right? So, I think now is the time to act. So I'll work with Paul and come back to you hopefully at the next meeting with the SOAP.
Thanks, Joan. Thanks for the lively discussion. We can move on to the consent agenda. I'd be looking for a motion to approve consent.
Motion to approve the consent agenda presented.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
I just wanted to ask if we can ask any questions before we move on to approve.
I don't think
You can take it out of the consent.
we didn't reorder or anything.
If any board member wants to remove an item from the consent agenda, they can ask that it be removed and then it can be acted on separately.
Okay.
And it's David Tols's general counsel.
All right. It's fine. I did have a question, so.
Yeah.
But you don't want to move it from consent?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, consent passes. On to the budget, Joan.
Yes, so since our last meeting, with the exception of one board member, I haven't really heard anything in regards to the budget as far as changes are concerned. We did have to do a few changes because some of the grants that we thought were going to be paid out this year are not going to be paid out this year. Again, another reason why, for the city to become more professional and to work on a lot of different things to bring more people in. One of the things we really do need to work on is getting projects done on time, getting permitting done on time, getting reviews done on time, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have to tell you about this. So a number of projects will not be done before the deadline in September. So we push them off until next year to pay them out. As you know, we do have the $300,000 in commercial grants that we could tap into to either do some extra grants. I know Chris has some ideas, as well as Anderson and Carr, and also to hire some professionals. So if we were to do that, that would be where it would come from. But besides that, if there are any other changes or any questions about the budget, please feel free to ask me. If not, then if you could please approve the resolution number 2701, adopting the 26-27 CRA budget, which includes operating, debt service, and our capital budget.
So moved.
If we have a second, then we can discuss.
Second.
Okay, let's open for discussion. Anybody? Sure.
Yes, thank you. Hi, Joan. I just was going to run down some of the explanations I think that you had very well put together, that it was explaining what these numbers were. And first part, it has to do with the programs. And you all mentioned in here that there's some money in there. There's some non-defined projects, but we might want to plan on some future things. And one of the things that was talked about the other night was safety in downtown. While we used to have like civil patrol, like residents would go in police cars and kind of go around and be some extra eyes. I don't know if it'd be a program. I don't know who would be part of this to organize it. Might be interested in be participant of eyes on the avenue type of thing. But I've had family members also witness some people downtown that were belligerent behavior, calling PBSO over there, not being able to do anything, kind of just watching whatever. Another relative that was visiting had another issue. Again, the same thing about kind of being stalked a little bit, going around in there, calling a PBSO up, and well, they really can't. And they were actually verbally threatened and all. I just don't know where that balance is, but if they're not even around, maybe there's some people that would just be able to go and walk. Maybe we have t-shirts or whatever, could be eyes on the avenue, be able to have a direct line, work out with the city, with PBSO to have a much more definitive response to some of these things. And people are threatened, threatened for your safety. It's not a specific crime in that sense, but they certainly can take some kind of action and say, hey, this is not good down here. We're not going to get away with this. Other cities seem to be able to accomplish that kind of deterrence from that kind of happening. I don't know, Commissioner Millet, if that's the kind of relationship that we would like to try to help participate and deal with PBSO, because you get more people that are just downtown and you have eyes down there. And I know you said lighting is an issue. You can't really help with that, so to speak. But, getting more lights from those parking lots to there where you feel safe. There's a few things that can help that are direct commentary that I've experienced myself. We have been down here over 20 years, and I've seen that. I saw Aaron when I first moved down here, like, oh, I was all, this is a potential here. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. And so I've been listening to this for a long, long time. Yeah, I just think that something like that can help with getting, at least showing eyeballs, showing that there's people here, things that you can see and people are acting, and let some of the residents and I'll take it in our own hands that want to volunteer. I don't know what kind of monetary component would be of a project like that or a program like that. But if we try to structure something, I know we have some money that could move around in the budget for some ideas in that regard in the programs, because I don't know what kind of different functions are included in some of these contracts that are expiring, but that's mentioned in there. I think working with the city in something like that for, I don't know how much deeper cleaning we could do. I think that's just a matter of management to say, put some more money into really cleaning up the sidewalks and the streets and the alleys.
We have put more money in.
I know, but I mean,
But the problem is we pay the city to do it and they hire a contractor. Our person staff can't go out and follow them and make sure they're doing a good job. So we have to rely on the city. We're not a.
Yeah.
Not a
And this
regulatory.
may not be the time, but at some point, I'm very curious when PBSO says there's nothing they can do, what can we do? I said, I mean,
Yeah.
aside from calling PBSO in a situation like that, to hear you say that PBSO said, well, there's nothing we can do,
Well, but why don't,
becomes a question is how can something be more effective than
how
PBSO?
could we pay all that money and not have a downtown police officer?
Yeah.
We had one years and years ago that we paid for, as well as a code officer. And both times it didn't work out because we really can't tell them what to do. They don't work for us. They work for other agencies. So yeah, we can, put some money into something else that somebody wants to run, but we can't run it ourselves.
I think it's something that if you're open to some of this discussion here to listen to, if somebody is alerting them, and you can get some kind of a response, so pay some attention to that, and the perception will change. I think a lot of it is even perception. It doesn't take but one or two incidents to then, that information just scatters like crazy. And every time it's retold more and worse. So I hear the program that we're talking about with Paul's group. And we're talking about the budget. I think we have some money in here that we don't have to adjust anything this evening.
Right.
But I would love to see a willingness on our board here and talking with you and the city that there is some funds that come from our taxpayers, that comes to us, that can go in an effective way to address some of these conditions and perceptions.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the economics, right? So the more stores we have, the more restaurants we have, the more people we have out on the streets, the more people who live near or in the downtown is going to make a huge difference. And it's going back to what Richard said, we have these, we can do carrots, but we can't really do sticks. So I think we just need a lot more carrots and we need help with it. So yeah, there's definitely, money if somebody wants to come up with a program that we could, potentially pay for some of it.
I mean, identifying some of the lighting. Maybe the lighting doesn't have to go on streetlights. Maybe they get added to some of the buildings that can provide more light from the pathways from our parking back behind the alleys and so on.
Yeah, I don't know. We've, again, I apologize because I've been here a long time, but we've had probably 3 PBSO lighting audits where they come back and tell the city exactly what kind of lighting we need. And, because of money, things haven't changed. So, the best thing we can do, in my opinion, is to, raise values so we can afford a lot of these things that perhaps the city can't. But so really long answer to your question is yes.
Sorry. I mean, it's the problem that needs to be solved. And one of the things that the CRA is very good at is being nimble at solving problems that the city has. But you have to pepper that with, we have a role too, right? And we have to think about our scope and our budget and what fits within that scope and budget. And we've gotten into public safety before and we've beautification and so forth, but you just got to figure out how to define it, right? So we don't get it in too far. And as I've been here, to me, the long-term thing is get the redevelopment going, get the blight taken care of, get the people here with the new housing and everything. And then it will the demand will increase and the funds will increase and it will organically get to a better place. I'm not saying we shouldn't do short-term things, but we have to figure out the boundary,
Well, my over 20-year eyeballs that have been here think long-term, that was long-term, we're near-term. And
Sure.
I think a lot of people are tired of long-term stuff.
Right.
So
No, I get it. I do think it's like, how do you define our role in that problem? That's really all. Yeah,
That's the real question.
Yeah.
I think there's flexibility in our budget that we have here, and from what I've read here and see, and I think there is, and I just think if we have a board that has a commitment that if we come up with certain ideas that are within our purview, that we can initiate that, work with the city and put something together, because I don't know, do we need more people to be on the street maintenance? I don't know why it's not up to snuff of here, because we have more and more people that have moved into the city in the last 5 years than ever before with money in their pockets. There's more disposable income in the city than has ever been here. So they just need to, they're clamoring. We hear them, but and that's where something, I think you feel the urgency that I feel the same way in that way.
I'll say, so I haven't been here quite as long as you. We're only going on 15 years. I think I'm never going to catch up though. I think to Joan's point, as the city has experienced periods of somewhat economic vitality, there has been less of that concern. I mean, because going out evenings on the avenue with a bunch of restaurants, a bunch of art galleries, you didn't see the same social blight that we currently experience when you go out on a Friday or Saturday night. So I do think that economic growth in the city is going to drive different pressures. I am committed to improving the safety and the walkability and the experience that everyone has coming downtown. But I think it's a cycle, and we're at a fairly low point in that cycle right now with the shops we have downtown. Richard, I didn't mean to cut you guys off. I was going to go to you next. Let's.
Yeah, I haven't really fleshed out this idea, but like other places have had, I don't know if you call them kind of like tourist police or tourist safety, public kind of management. They don't really have the same, it's not a stick, and they don't walk around and patrol. Yeah, it's like ambassadors, wayfinders, helping tourists with questions. I mean, it's kind of like looking, it's extension of hospitality, making this by extension safer, because people will feel like they have eyes on. I don't know what it really looks like, but I know like in West Palm Beach and other places, the Tangier outlets, I've traveled and lived all over the world. So it's like when you have tourist destinations, this is what you have. And I think it's workable. I think it's like something that we could actually look at and consider.
So I don't want to beat a dead horse. But it's apathy, I think, has kind of made its way into different parts of our community. For those of us who have been here a long time, I mean, I have plenty of conversations with my grandmother and my father about the way that it was back in the early 70s and through the 80s. And then, of course, I went school shopping in the 90s at Island Water Sports. It's very different now than when it was even back then. And I think it takes a little bit of care. I think it takes a little bit of care by our residents. So 2 weekends ago, my wife and I went to Over Easy's for breakfast, and there was a gentleman sprawled out in front of the old Island Water Sports building, right in front of the bench there. I'm not medically trained. I'm not going to go check on someone like that. But it's my initial thought wasn't, oh, that's normal. That was my wife's thought, though. And she and I had a long conversation about that after the fact, and I was like trying to get to the idea, because she has only been here 6 years with me, and but she's just so used to seeing that right there at 10th and A Street, right there where we have to drive from work to the house every single day too. I know that's FDOT, that's not the city, but it's seeing these things, not just that kind of issue, which he was there for almost over 3 hours that day before we called the non-emergency line to have somebody come check on it. But thinking about like how many PBSO officers probably drove by that, hopefully drove by that in a 3 hour period through our downtown and didn't do anything. We left, so I'm not entirely sure what happened after the fact, but it's things like that. Or right now at 10th and A Street, it's been there for a couple of days. There are some yard signs from the Village of Palm Springs advertising their flag football program. Why is that in our city? When I know that there are staff members that drive by that almost every single day to different parts of our city. So I think that we have to tackle the apathy part of it. And again, that's not just city. I'm not trying to call anybody out on that. That's on us residents too, to actually care. And maybe not in a formal capacity by joining a committee if that's not your thing, but really just taking the time to volunteer and clean up your communities. And that includes our downtown. There are neighborhoods that are a part of our downtown. I'd like to pivot to my actual question, if that's okay, just because we were on that. So I know there hasn't been any material change to the budget from the last time that we saw it, the pressure washing and the lighting contract. I didn't know if there was any sort of update on that you had received.
We did inquire with the city. We did ask the company to go back out. They asked us for specific locations, which we gave them. Whether that's been done or not, I don't know.
My only ask, and again, I'm not saying that we have to alter the budget to do this, because I know this is a long-term conversation with the city about that egregious lighting contract that they have, but I would much rather see those monies not be on Christmas lights on poles. I do appreciate them in the trees. I think they're beautiful, and those banyan and those ficuses, but I do think the lighting on the poles is kind of useless. It doesn't really add any safety to those light poles there. But I would love to see that money go back into that pressure washing and the cleaning and actually expand that radius. Downtown is more than just Lake and Lucerne. It does go down all of the side streets that.
We did the side streets.
No, I know. The map. I saw the map that you saw, and I could be wrong. It's just my interpretation of the map. It looked like it was only the side streets in between Lake and Lucerne. Yeah, and so it didn't go down to Bamboo Room. It didn't go down past Cultural Council to the parking lots where people are currently parking or where the garage is going to be. So it's also making sure that the paths that these individuals are walking to our shops match what we're trying to put forth both on Lake and Lucerne when people drive down them. So that would be my only ask. I know that's not you. It's really the city's call on that one, but that would just be my one ask in looking at it.
We did put a little bit more in there, so
Yeah.
so hopefully that'll cover that.
Thank you.
I do. Are we still taking comments, questions? So Joan, I wanted to ask, kind of following up about the Lula program. I understand what you said here, and also we had the Dia de los Muertos conversation, a very short one, but I know it's come up at the commission. So I was trying to get a sense of what the idea is for the Lula program, and I know if you wanted to continue, or the CRA has been trying to pull back from the CRF, but if we want to have activities, we need more sponsorship and donations. So what does that look like? And an ancillary idea would be, have we considered handing it over to a local arts nonprofit or another entity to actually run the program?
No, it's not. Yeah, no, we haven't. We started it. I don't remember how many years ago, but we've been very blessed over the years to have staff that go out and get grants every year. This year we didn't get one, which is one of the reasons we couldn't put the show on. Every single year, staff asks for donations, and every single year we raise probably between $10,000 and $15,000 for those. A lot of people pledge and they don't actually give, but that's another story. And so we've been doing this for 10 years now, and it just got to a point where we didn't have a staff person to help us, and we didn't really have the funds, and we really didn't have the time. We applied for a grant for next year, so we hope to bring back Day of the Dead next year, and hopefully the neighbors won't be scared to come out. But it's directly related to the CRA, so it's not something that we would hand over to anybody. There might be a time where we just close it, perhaps, if we're not able to continue to bring in monies. But we're not there at this point. Did I answer your question?
You did. I was just kind of looking out, like, beyond even the next fiscal year. What would that look like? Because it is so important, I think, in the city in terms of the creativity, the arts.
Well, it is, and we're taking those monies that we do have and continuing to do the planners and the signage and the murals and the banners and all the other things that it does. So there is money budgeted for that. We just didn't have enough to cover all the costs that are connected to Day of the Dead, because costs, as you know, keep rising. It's just gotten a little bit bigger than what we can really handle at this point.
Yeah, for sure. And even in terms of dedicated staff, I think that's another issue. It's,
Yeah.
it's gotten to be gargantuan. Thanks.
Okay, any further discussion before we take any public comment? All right, any public comment? Okay, in that case, I think we have a motion and a second on this item, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, budget resolution passes. And now we'll go on to the executive director's report.
Thank you. The Lake Worth CRA Homebuyer Club, we have had our orientation, but the first session doesn't start until August 19th. So if you know anybody who would like to, in the future, buy an affordable home, these are required classes to do so. They're put together by our friends at the Community Partners, and a number of them will be held at Hatch, as we do every time. Next, we have a show that's playing right now at Hatch. It's called Better Together. And on August 20th at 7 p.m. From 7 to 8:30, we are talking to the winners of the Better Together show. If you haven't seen the show, it really is fabulous. It's probably like one of the best ones that we've done. So if you're interested, they do have some limited hours, and I would call first before you come just to make sure. We have the capture photo contest that's open until August 25th. This is one of the competitions we're holding for pictures of food, restaurants, servers, anything really related to eating out and dining in Lake Worth. As you know, the winners have been put up on in the hallway every year since we've started it, maybe about 3 years ago. It's free to enter, and you can put in 3 of your photos. So please keep that in mind and let everybody know who potentially might be really good at photography. And finally, last but not least, we have our Mango Fest and Arts Festival, which is being put on. I think Pomona is kind of leading the charge for it on September 5th on J. Even though we don't do events, we thought we would participate in this one because we're doing our Find Your Flavor, Find It Downtown campaign for that one. So that takes place on Labor Day weekend. Also just wanted to let the board know I'm leaving right after this meeting to go to Miami for NeighborWorks conference. And also, just so you know, the Florida Redevelopment Association conference is in the week of October 20th. I'm hoping staff will be able to go this year. If anybody else is interested, please go to the FRA page and take a look and see if it's something perhaps you might be interested in. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. All right, let's do board member comments. I'm gonna start with you because I keep going to that side tonight.
No comments. I think I've spoken enough tonight.
Hey, so I'm going to give kind of like my swan song speech, and I wrote it down. So sorry about that. So I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to serve on this board for the past 4 years. It's been an honor and a privilege, and one that I've taken really seriously. Proud of the work we've accomplished together, and grateful for the opportunity to have served our community. I am just wanting to like make a kind of comment here. I don't know if folks will agree, but I think it's really important to have diverse voices on the CRA board and diverse perspectives and alternative viewpoints, and bring them to the table. When the board lacks meaningful representation of differing opinions, it risks silencing the voices and concerns of many residents who are asking difficult questions and challenging the status quo. I urge the commission to listen to and respect the full range of perspectives within our community, and to ensure that the CRA board reflects the totality of our wonderful city, not simply one vision for its future. The majority of residents I hear from want balanced, responsible growth, not growth at any cost. They want us to protect the historic character, Old Florida charm, open spaces, public lands, and quirky character that make our city so unique. They don't want our community transformed into another overdeveloped, privatized destination. These voices need to be heard, respected, and represented in decisions that will shape our community for many generations to come. The future of the city should not be determined by developers, political insiders, or a single prevailing point of view. Please listen to the residents of the city, not just the loudest voices, the most connected interest, or those who support your preferred vision. please represent the totality of our community. Thank you. Thanks, you guys. I'm going to miss you.
I just want to say thank you, Donna, for your service. I know I see you around town all the time. I know you're very invested. So it was a pleasure to serve with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to give a shout out to Pomona. They are absolutely killing it. It's a fun place to go, and they really care about putting on a good business. And I look forward to Man Ray opening up this weekend. I'm just looking forward to it all. Thank you, staff, for this great budget, and Joan for keeping us moving forward in the right direction. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Sorry, just to follow up, there's a costume party tomorrow?
Yes, I will
Are
be
you
there.
are you attending?
Yes.
In an outlandish, Dade, surrealist?
I'm struggling with that, but I will come in something. Yes.
I'd like to also thank you for the service. I hope we can all keep up with the same attention that you have had over the years here, that you've been here as well. I think it's a crucial point here in the board's service to the community, because we do absorb this funding from the city itself, and it's allocated with a mission to stimulate, incentivize, get us over a hump, let's say. I don't know where we are. If we're just creeping up here, I don't think we shrunk back, but we are at a point, and I feel the concern that you and staff have. You all have worked very hard too on many of these things to try to push some of this forward. We just have to try to get people more motivated to take possession of this city ourselves, and the interest that it takes. So, again, thank you for your time. I'm hoping I can still put the kind of energy in here and my experiences in the town with what I do outside of the committee as well. So I'm happy that we can look at this budget in a flexible way and be creative this coming year too. Thank you.
I'll echo my appreciation for working with Donna. We're going to miss you. I will argue with John that we never get over the hump, because once we've gotten over the hump, it's done. And in which case we'd have accomplished our goal. As we keep getting higher, the hill keeps getting higher too, is my view of where we are and what we have to do. As if we find ourselves over the hump, it's time to pack it in and go home. But it is a lot of work to keep going, because the targets keep moving as well. Yeah. And, it's going to be challenging time and challenging with limited resources. And we do the best we can, and appreciate the discussion and where we're heading. I'm excited.
What's up, David?
I just wanted to thank Donna for her service. It was a pleasure working with you, and I'm sure we will see you around. On the property tax referendum front, I just want to let you know that my firm, on behalf of the not-for-profit entity challenging the ballot language, successfully argued in front of the judge in Tallahassee. So we're waiting for new language to come from the Attorney General to see if the tax referendum will be on the ballot in November. And as Joan said, the FRA conference is in October, and my firm is a proud sponsor of the FRA, supporting CRAs throughout the state. So great to see everybody. Continue having a good summer.
The clock's ticking on that ballot language, isn't it? We're running out of days. Yeah. So to continue the roller coaster metaphor, when we find ourselves zipping down that other side, I'll host a cocktail party in the backyard for all former and current board members. Donna, thank you for your service. And Joan, please thank Mona for her continued willingness to handle our accounting function. I miss seeing her around. I'd like to thank the members of the public who attended, and thank the board for the lively discussion. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.